Hi, my name's Rosa, and today we're going to be diving into a professional business plan, one for an organization that I coach through Glover University. And this business plan is designed for leaders just like you so that you can build a plan to attract top agents, grow your bottom line, and run a profitable real estate business. Let's get back to the content. My name is Rosa, and I am a 20-year real estate vet. I have been in leadership for the last 9 years, running a 175-person brokerage, stepping out of that role as soon as I get replaced to dive full in on coaching. Right now I have a 22-person coaching roster with Glover U. I am also an elite coach, which means I am coaching the Rainmaker and their operations, which has been awesome. It's so much fun to have the opportunity to work with both sides. And part of the reason is because systems is my specialty, really piecing together operations and running things at a smooth pace. My business partner and I have run a successful real estate business for the last 15 years, and we sell here out of Aventura. So our office is 5 minutes up the road, and we sell both Broward and Dade County, and we average around 85 closings a year over the last 15 years. And I have been removed from the team for the last 9 running the brokerage, which goes back to the systems. When we believe our value is us, we're vulnerable in having freedom. When our value is our systems, well, now we could be replaced and our profit doesn't necessarily have to be adjusted. Does that make sense? All of my angles, a lot of the things that I share are always going to be designed around replacing yourself and running a business that's worth owning, which is a profitable one. Look, my mission today is simple. It's really to give you a roadmap to what I just shared. It's to help you scale your business and have a process to do so. And the way you do that is by having a plan. Hope and pray is definitely not a plan, and writing something down and most importantly, reporting it to somebody is how we have exponential growth. And so we're going to start today about the plan. Or the mission of this is that you have a system, you have a plan, you have a model that you can fuel your success and duplicate it year over year over year. So as some of you noticed, this plan is in your book. And part of the reason that Jeff put it in the book is so that we can share with you one, and now you have 2. So you have one that you can take notes on, and then one that now you can take home in this nice, colorful, beautiful paper and all that. So this business plan is not theory. It's what Glover U teaches. It's what Glover Agency builds their brand on, and we as coaches learn it, share it, and work with our leadership clients around it. So today's goal, of course, is to help you feel comfortable and confident to implement this yourself. So what you guys see here on the left is a little sharing my YouTube, my Instagram. I would love for you guys to subscribe. I'm on a rampage to try to get to 1,000 subscribers. I'm pushing 275 right now. So anytime I'm teaching, anytime I'm anywhere, I'm just trying to get folks to jump on the YouTube. I invested in Live Unreal Media. So every week I have a social media coach to push that and of course put the right content forward, which is why I set up my phone, hit record, and gonna give it all to them and let them do the magic with it. And so you guys will see this presentation on there in the next couple weeks. Yesterday's P&L conversation is gonna be on there as well, and yesterday I taught profit and loss. So they gave me the 2 coolest topics, profit and loss and business planning. And if you're interested in Sales Rocket coaching, Matt Marcipian and I are both coaches with Sales Rocket Coaching, so text Lee to 55444. So enough about that. In the next couple minutes, this is what I'd like to ask for you to do. Jot down something you want to take away from this today. Something that when you walked in here, you're like, this is what I want to take away from today. Let's take about 30 seconds, jot that down so that when I ask, did we hit on what you wanted to talk about? And if not, we'll make sure I have some Q&A at the end. So we'll give about 30 seconds on that. And by writing it down, you're taking the first step towards clarity. By writing it down, you're taking the first step towards being clear in what you want. Why do all top leaders have a business plan? Because it's a system, and success is not an accident. As John Maxwell says, no one climbed uphill and asked how they got there. Everything we want is uphill. What we want, we write down. We surround ourselves with folks that hold us accountable to what we want. And yet if we don't write it down, then whatever's loud takes our time. And so I've been harping on that quite a bit. And so we're going to talk about sales and recruiting structure today, growth planning and retention, lead generation for our business and revenue strategies, and of course, time management and leadership priorities. When we write things down, it reduces fatigue because we don't have to then first think of what it is that we need to do. We can just look at it. I use this phrase a lot. Let's date our goals. What type of relationship do we have with our goals? And if we're not looking at a plan, if we don't have it in front of us, well, now we're spending energy trying to think of what it was that we wanted to do when all we'd have to do is turn to this page and look right at it and go, okay, yes, this week, this is what I'm gonna execute on. Does that make sense? Awesome. Let's dive into the process. So let's start on page 2. Page 2 is our goals. So what is it for Q2, 3, and 4 that we would like to execute on? Or if we're going to postpone this all the way to 2026, starting in October, planning 2026. And yet, I would encourage you, hey, let's look at the last 3 quarters. What is it that we want to achieve in units, volume, GCI, gross commission income, company dollar, which is the amount of money coming into our company before splits, and profit. So starting with those numbers. Now there is a model called the economic model, which can dissect how to get clear on these numbers based on your ratios. If you don't know those numbers, that would be one of the first tools that you would sit down with your coach and work that through. For us to know where we want to go, we got to write it down. And that is page 2. Next, we're going to jump to page 4. And page 4 is we're going to take a few, not at this moment, when we are working our business plan, we're going to review last year's numbers. Now, this is one of my favorite pages because it is either super easy or super stressful, depending on how well you track your numbers, depending on how organized you are. Because simply, all of this is what we should be tracking every day, every month. Closing our books out, looking at where we are month over month, year over year in that month. Looking at our business and tracking ahead, behind, versus the market, versus our MLS, what's going on in our business. So this page, if these numbers are complicated, when you look at it, go, oh, wait, that's going to take some time. This is your first opportunity to go forward and start tracking this on a weekly, monthly, quarterly basis. Because again, what you track, you can improve. And I'll say it again, what you track and report to a coach, exponentially improve. So you are constantly reporting it and you're being held accountable to it. And then of course, your recruiting numbers, which is your growth. In South Florida, I shared this on stage, we're seeing a 75% fail rate on listings in condos here. As beautiful as it looks out there, it is a very interesting time. And what makes this market so unique is you don't just pull up to one of these condos and go show it. You got to pay for valet, you have to wait, most of the agents show. So I mean, we're talking, you have a listing that you have to show over and over and over and over and over, and you got a valet every single time, and you have a 25% pass rate. Recruiting's kind of important to keep your business moving forward because the turn rate of agents is just starting to pick up. Does that make sense? And so that's why recruiting as a leader, I share this with my clients. At first, we lead generate for business, and then we evolve as a rainmaker to now lead generate for talent. And that's why recruiting is part of the business plan, because we always want to top grade our talent and never let the inmates run the asylum. It's our business model. It's our vision of how this business goes. And when our coach or the coaching organization we align with is saying this is where the market is going and they don't want to go that route or build the intensity, we get to make the decision as business owners. the goals, or last year, of recruiting. So now turn to the next page, page 5. And what we're doing here is we are analyzing. All right, last year, what were our numbers? What were our recruiting numbers? And now what were our sources? What were our sources for production? And again, if that is challenging, that is something I recommend you start today, which is every closing we have, where did it come from? Who is the loan officer and who is the title company or mortgage company and title company? To start to track to see which companies are you doing a lot of business with. Which companies were easy to work with, which companies weren't easy to work with. Because if there's one thing that I remember from 2007, and that was the really, really good make it. And you want to align with those that are forward thinking, that have their stuff together so that you can build and grow a profitable business and be one of the ones that stand on the other side. Now we're going to break down, well, what can our agents do to double down on those sources? Not let's go find a bunch of more sources. It's, hey, we already invested in this. Now what can we do to generate more business from these sources? Then what are our top 3 sources of recruiting? And then how do we double down on that? Once we have a plan to double down, or if there's no way we could double down and we want to increase or improve, now we have the opportunity to invest or pull another lever. Let's jump to the next page, which is now this year's goals. Forecasting, what is it that we want to achieve this year in our production numbers and our recruiting numbers? And they are the exact same statistics that we tracked for last year that we want to start tracking every single month, quarter, year over year, etc. One thing I want to hammer home is track your sources and where business is coming from. It's the easiest way to remove emotion on where to invest more and where to pull levers from, and where you can have outside folks come in and help you and your agent sell more real estate. All right, page 9. This is where we now are planning going forward. How are we going to attract agents to our business, to our team or brokerage? And how are we going to retain our agents inside of our brokerage? What are the tactics? What are the levers? What are the tools? We're just going to list them here, and then we would build a plan around it outside of the plan. But right now we would just be labeling. All right, so we're going to do broker opens. We're going to do open houses, real estate school open houses. We're going to do broker metrics calls. We're going to do co-op calls. We're going to list the ways that we're going to generate leads for recruiting, and then ways that we're going to retain. Recognition, awards banquet, social events, sponsored social events. We're going to brainstorm all the different ways here. And this would be a great tool to mastermind. Get a bunch of folks together that are like-minded, that would be more than happy to share what's working with them. And then, of course, you get ideas and you can share what's working with you. As we continue to page 10, it's the same idea. What are we going to do around training? Maybe it's Sales Rocket coaching. Maybe it's Sales Rocket virtual. Maybe it's a hybrid of so as you're onboarding. It's the summit. It's the retreat. What is the training? What are we going to leverage as an organization, and ask the agents what they want as support, which is the last section here. What is it that the agents want? What do they feel they need? Is it more marketing support? Is it the showing assistant model? Is it help writing contracts? What is it specifically that the agents want and that you feel should be in this year? Now, there's a model that I want to pause here for a second and share. And a model, I shared this on stage, is borrowing the best thinking. And one of the things that I strive to do is always challenge the models that I currently have anytime I'm taking a class, anytime I'm watching a video. And if what I'm hearing isn't better than the model that I'm currently using or leveraging, well, what am I doing? I'll just keep on going until I get access to something that's better. And so there's a thought model called first creation, second creation. And the idea behind first creation, second creation is that our mind creates something, and then the universe or what we then can make it happen in real life. But first it happens here. and then we experience it in the flesh. And the most simplistic way to hammer this home is deja vu. That's exactly what your brain already created whatever it is that you experienced, and now you have a physical feeling of it that happened. So with that said, the other way to look at this is a 3D printer. A 3D printer can make houses. It can make a boat, but it can't make anything if the computer doesn't tell it what to do. First creation, put it into the computer. Second creation, the printer puts it out. What we're doing here is now we're building first creation. Just want to kind of hammer that point home. And so what a disjustice it is if we don't slow down for business planning and allow first creation to do the heavy lifting for 2025. Which brings us to page 12, the ideal schedule. And so what Jeff shares here is something for you to model off of. And so another way to look at models is that you have a foundational principle of an ideal schedule. Doesn't mean you got to follow it. It means that it's the model, and then you sprinkle your creativity on top. And the reason that we take the model and then sprinkle creativity is, should we be inefficient with our time? Should we be behind on our goals? Should we be inefficient? Well, there's still a lever we can pull, which is go back to the foundational model and then adjust from there. So here's the ideal schedule. The next page would simply be, you draft your own ideal schedule. Let's jump to page 15. Now we're diving into what I shared yesterday, which is the P&L. And as our market is shifting, the first dollar saved is the first dollar earned. So knowing where our money is going is one of the key principles of profitability. In yesterday's breakout that I taught on the profit and loss, we broke down the different levers that we can pull if our cost of sale is getting too high. Because our goal is to have a profit margin in running a real estate business. Brokerage is a little bit different, but running a real estate business of a 40% or higher net profit, which would mean we'd have 30% fixed expenses, 30% cost of sale, which would leave 40% profit. And the idea behind this is what levers can we pull so that we can get the cost of sale in alignment with 40% profit. My business partner and I are running close to a 50%, 55% some years profit margin. Our cost of sale is a lot higher than our fixed expenses, and we run it that way because I haven't been in sales in 9 years. And so if I get back in, cost of sale will go down drastically because I'm involved, and our agents are on a 50% split. So if our agents on a 50% split, how do we get to a 30% cost of sale? But we're at a 35% cost of sale. And so again, when you understand the numbers and you can understand which levers you want to pull, well, now you have freedom. Now you have strength. Now you have the opportunity to make different choices. And that is exactly what this page is all about. Is you have to know where you are to know where you want to go so you can know what levers to pull and have the right conversations with your coach, your mentors, your mastermind groups, so that you can have clarity in what levers to pull. So page 15 is the financial model, which brings us to page 16, which is our social media plan. We're one of the only companies that share how to generate business, build NIL around social media. And so what's our plan? What's our Monday plan, our Tuesday plan? We shared this yesterday from stage, what to do each day. So what is your plan? And the beautiful part of this is if you forget, you pull out the business plan, or every Sunday on my YouTube, I share a model called the Sunday System for Success. It's a system that I do every Sunday, takes about an hour on a long day, and it absolutely prepares me for the week. And so what I do is I pull out my business plan, and there are things that I just wasn't thinking about that now I can execute into my week in gaps that I have, so that I can own my business, own what needs to be done. I'm responsible to a lot of people, and I can't remember everything up here. Page 17 is about our hiring needs. Who, what is next? What do we need? And then we could search for the who. I like to call this the missing persons report. The missing persons report. I want to know, who do I need to hire? What should they look like? Not look as in look, but what is their personality style? What is their behavioral traits? What is their personality style? I want to have almost like the old school milk carton. I want to know what I'm looking for, so when I interview, I can feel the energy, not just be there chasing what position I'm looking for. The next is value proposition changes. We're going to adjust our value propositions based on what we hear in different events, the masterminds, the different real estate conferences that we're going to go to, and this can be all in pencil, which means it can adjust. If we hear something that top grades what it is, and then we get curious, once we know what it is that we want to do, we get curious about, okay, how do I execute on this? What is it? How do I deliver this for my agents? And then the last section, part 12, is what is it that my coach is telling me to do? What is the execution points that need to be done, or blind spots that I'm not seeing that I have to be reminded are my blind spots? Hence the word, blind spots. Which is part of the reason that Jeff asked us to put up here, text one-on-one to 55444 if you'd like to just learn more about coaching. And the reason is because if I did my job correctly, there's a gap right now between your current business plan, what you've understood as a business plan, and a highly detailed, scalable, duplicatable, chewable business plan. And through this conversation, look, clarity leads to leads. Leads lead to confidence. It leads to attracting larger talent to your business, and really confidence leads to your growth. So here's the good news. You don't have to create it. You have it you have two of them. I gave you one, and you have one in your book. So you now have the plan. So the question isn't, do I need a plan? It's, what do I do about it?